Welcome to Triple B BBQ. Today we're going to be making this delicious pork loin roulade. We're going to take a pork loin from Costco and butterfly it open, then roll it out, and we're going to stuff it with a bunch of amazing things. Cream cheese, bacon jam, sautéed peppers, onions, and mushrooms, topped with an Italian blend of cheeses. It's amazing. It was delicious. We're going to go ahead and get started the night before and make some bacon jam in advance so everything doesn't fall to the day of. So we'll get things started by, of course, cooking down our bacon. So we'll put about 1.5 pounds of bacon in the pan and we'll let it cook, and we want to cook it until it gets just brown enough. We don't want it to be super crispy. So we'll cook it until it's nice and brown, but it's not going to be really crunchy in our bacon jam. So it's going to cook a little bit longer once we're done with it. So we're going to cook it till it gets to about this point and set it aside. Keep about 2 tablespoons of bacon grease in your pan and add your onion. Cook that until the onion is just about translucent. And it's looking good here. Once it gets to about this point, we'll go ahead and add in our garlic. And we'll continue to saute the onions and the garlic together. It's looking nice and sauteed at this point. Nice and translucent, the onions. You can see a little bit of brown in there. We're going to add in some of our liquids here, and I got the recipe posted in the description here below. So you'll see everything we're adding here, some brown sugar. Go ahead and give that a stir to incorporate those ingredients. Once it comes to a little bit of a rolling boil, we're going to add in some of our herbs and spices, some maple syrup. We're going to add in our Triple B spicy rub, about 1 tablespoon, and 1 tablespoon of our Triple B pork rub. Let that bubble away for a minute and add our bacon back in. And at this point, our bacon jam is pretty well done. Let that simmer for just a few minutes, and as it does so, it'll start to thicken up and look like jam. Next, we're going to go ahead and saute our onions, mushrooms, and garlic. We'll start off by adding a little bit of olive oil and butter to the pan, and add 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. Give that a good stir. Let it start to brown up, and then add in all of your rough chopped onions and peppers. We'll let those cook down for a few minutes. Add in a little balsamic vinegar. Give it a stir. Once the onions are translucent and the peppers have started to soften up a little bit, we'll add in our mushrooms. We'll cook those down until everything gets nice and soft and fully sauteed. Should take only just a few more minutes here over medium heat. And of course, now's a great time to give this a season with our Triple B all-purpose rub. That's salt, pepper, and garlic. Not too heavy, as this will be well seasoned when all is said and done, but a little bit of coat right now certainly doesn't hurt anything. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay, so we got our boneless pork loin here that we picked up at Costco. Meat's really expensive right now, and this is one of the cheapest cuts that you'll be able to find. So it's a boneless whole pork loin here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut it in half, so that we've got 2 pieces of meat that we're working with here instead of this really long piece of meat. We're going to cut it in half, and then we're going to make it roulade style, which means we're going to butterfly it open. And we'll show how we do that. But we butterfly it open so that it lays flat as one solid piece of meat, and then we're going to fill it, roll it back up, truss it real nice, and then put it on the smoker for a couple hours to finish. It's going to look really nice and it's going to be super good. Okay, we've got the pork loin out of the bag and rinsed off. So what we're going to do now is cut it in half. So we've got 2 pieces of meat we're working with. And then on the back side here, we have a fat cap with a lot of silver skin on the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and trim that off. As much of the fat cap as we need. We don't really need all that fat on this particular piece of meat. Because it's going to be full of all kinds of goodness. So we'll go ahead and trim this, cut it in half, and then we'll get back to it. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and trim this. So we'll start by cutting it in half. Well, right there, looks good. So now we've got 2 pieces of meat here to work with. And all we need to do now is trim off this silver skin. So just like any other piece of meat with silver skin, we just come up under the silver skin, kind of point your blade up and just trim it off. And there's a good bit of fat cap on here, so we'll just take our time and make sure we trim it all off. Okay, so now that we got this one all trimmed up nice, we'll go ahead and trim the other one. Okay, so now we've got these pork loins trimmed up and separated really nice. And now it's time to do the roulade part of this dish, where we're gonna butterfly these open so that they are 1 piece of flat meat about a ½ inch thick. And we're gonna put a couple of different toppings on here and roll it back up. So the first layer we're gonna put down is a cream cheese, followed by bacon jam, followed by some sautéed peppers, onions, and mushrooms, and topped with a blend of cheeses, mozzarella, provolone, Asiago, a good blend of Italian cheeses that will melt and be really delicious inside of this pork loin roulade. So we'll go ahead and butterfly these open right now, and we'll zoom in so you can watch that. Okay, so now we're gonna butterfly this pork loin out so that we can stuff it and then roll it back up. So the first step here is kind of just use your hand, push it down so that it's laying as flat as we can get it. And we're going to make a 45 angle cut about 3/4 to an inch away from the edge of the pork loin all the way down until we're left with about a ½ of an inch there. We'll go in about 45 degrees all the way down the length of the loin until we're about a ½ of an inch away from the cutting board. Just like so. And then this kind of will fold out, and that's the start of our cut. we're going to bring our knife blade so that it's parallel with the cutting board and just make a series of incisions. And then rolling this back as we go. Just using the tip of your blade to make these cuts. Rolling it back as we go. If you need to correct your depth like I do up here, go ahead and do it. This will all be hidden in the end. That was kind of the smaller part of the loin there. What you can do at this point, we got it pretty well rolled out. But you'll see there's some thicker parts here. So what I'll usually do is just come in with your knife and make an incision on the thick part. That'll kind of release some of that tension and let it roll out a little more. So we're pretty well uniform. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll be close. Alright, and now what we can do is get our fillings ready. And we'll go ahead and fill these and then roll them back up. Okay, so now we're ready to go ahead and put on all of our fillings. We're going to start it off with some cream cheese that we're just going to take here. Use our hands to spread it around. And just spread it with a rubber spatula all over the meat. Alright, we've abandoned the spatula there. We're just going to use our hands. Okay, so now we've got the cream cheese spread all over both of the loins. I highly recommend warming the cream cheese up a little bit. I think that'll make it a lot easier. I think now's a good time to go ahead and use a little bit of our all-purpose seasoning to season inside of the pork loin directly on this cream cheese. It'll adhere really well to it. Just a light coat. Just like so. Okay, so now the next layer is our bacon jam that we made last night. We've had it in the fridge until today, and we warmed it up a little bit in the microwave so that it'll spread easier. So now we'll go ahead and keep about a 1/2 inch border along each one of these loins so we've got room when we roll it up so that the fillings don't come out the end of it. Go ahead and put a couple spoonfuls on all around the loin here. Okay, now the next layer are our onions, peppers, and mushrooms that we sauteed with a little bit of garlic. So we'll go ahead and spread those out now. Okay, we just use our spoon again. Just kind of roll that around, spread it out. Okay, now last we're going to go ahead and put down our Italian blend of cheeses on top. This will make it so that it's nice and cheesy when we cut these open after they're done cooking. You want a good amount, but you don't want too much. Okay, now that ought to do it. We'll go ahead and get out some butcher's twine and we'll truss these up. Okay, so now we're ready to roll these pork loins up into the roulade pinwheel shape so that we're ready to cook. So what you gotta do, come over to one side and just gently start to roll it over. Try to get everything rolling at once. Don't do it too tight. We're not focused on being tight here. You can kind of pull it apart. As a matter of fact, as you're doing it just like that, pull it towards you. So that in the end, we end up just like that. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and roll up our second one here. Same procedure. Just get it up and over once. Kind of fold your hands over the top and pull as you roll. Yeah, pull the whole cutting board. Just pull as you roll until you're all the way over, just like so. Okay, so now we're going to truss this. So we've got a bunch of butcher string here that we're going to use, and what I like to do is just find the middle and just kind of come in and do one end first. So come in about an inch away, 2 inches away from the very end of the loin. Wrap your string around itself about 4 times and pull it tight, but not too tight, about like so. Wrapping the string around so many times will hold your tension for you so it doesn't come undone when you let go. And then you can tie your knot and call it good. So I like to do 2 knots on one side, 2 knots on this side, and then save the middle for last. Otherwise what can end up happening is you end up squeezing all of the filling out of the other side of the roulade that you did last. Okay, that guy's trussed up. Got a little bit of squeeze out, that's alright. We'll go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and just trim the ends off of these strings and we'll be done trussing up our loins. Okay, so we got these trussed up looking beautifully. You'll notice on this one I did cut a little bit too far to where I cut all the way through and I was butterflying it. That's okay, that's life. So it'll still be delicious. But this one is perfect. That's how it be. Alright, let's go ahead and season these bad boys with our Triple B pork seasoning, which is fantastic on all things pork. Obviously these are pork loins, so this is going to be delicious. There's a good bit of paprika in here, some brown sugar, and a blend of a bunch of other spices and seasonings that make this a really delicious rub. So we'll go ahead and do the bottom side here first. This is going to be our bottom. And just like seasoning anything, you kind of got to get around the cutting board where you need to be. Don't forget the ends here. Use your hands to bounce it off. Your hands to get on the ends here. Alright. seasoning. Okay, we're going to season this second pork loin with our Triple B spicy barbecue rub. This was developed to use on pork, but it's good on everything. Of course, it'll be fantastic on this roulade. This isn't super spicy, so it's not going to be difficult for people to eat. It's got a great complex heat to it. There are several different peppers in here and chili powders that make it so that it hits different heats at different times. And it's really just one of my favorite rubs, and it's fantastic on pork. It's good on vegetables. It's good on popcorn. It's good on everything. So we'll go ahead and coat this the same way we did the other, seasoning it all around, making sure we get good coverage. And we'll touch up the seasoning, you know, once we get it on the smoker, we'll touch it up so that it looks beautiful. These are going to look really nice, and they're going to taste even better. Trying to get some on the ends there. Not to lose too much there. Okay. Alright, so we got those seasoned. We'll let them sweat out for just a minute or two. Let that rub really adhere to the meat. Make sure our smoker's up to temperature where it needs to be, and we'll throw these on. Okay, we've got these pork loins on the smoker there. We are going to cook around 275 today. It should take about 2 hours for these to cook all the way. We're using oak wood today on our offset smoker, so we'll go ahead and close the lid on this, let them smoke for about another 45 minutes or so, and then I'll put a probe in to make sure we monitor the temperature. We're going to cook these until they're 145 internally, at which point we'll pull them off and let them rest for about 10 to 15 minutes, and they should be delicious. Alright, we'll catch you up when they're done. Alright, I just added a log, but let's take the opportunity while the pit has come down in temperature to take a look at our pork loins that we've got going here. Beautiful. Coming right along. We've got the temperature probes in there. They're sitting at about 122, 123, so these should be done in about 30, 45 minutes at the most. Okay, we are done. So just to recap what we did. We butterflied these pork loins and made them roulade style. So we filled them on the inside with cream cheese and bacon jam, sautéed onions, peppers, and mushrooms, and then topped with some cheese. We cooked them at about 275 for around 2.5 hours until it temped about 140 to 145. We pulled them off the smoker at that point. We let them rest for 15 minutes. So without further ado, it's time to go ahead and slice in and take a look. Okay, let's go ahead and slice in here. Let's take a look. Look at that. Beautiful. Little pinwheel in there. Of course, you want to remove the string before you actually serve this to anybody, which I have not just yet. Alright, we got a couple of slices off there. Beautiful. So that's the one with the regular pork rub on it. Let's see if we can't get into the spicy one as well. Excellent, beautiful. Lots of filling. It's going to be delicious. I gotta get a bite. Okay, we've got it sliced up here, and I'm going to try a little bit here. So I got a little piece of our pork loin roulade cut, and I'm going to try it. Excellent. It's very good. The pork itself is tender. The rub on the outside, of course, is fantastic. And then the filling And the filling is so good. Well seasoned and really adds to the pork flavor. So overall, just a fantastic recipe. It's relatively inexpensive right now to get some pork loin. You can make these fillings and you'll have a really fancy meal for your holidays that's sure to impress. Alright, thanks for joining us over here at Triple B BBQ today. We hope you guys have a great holiday season. Try this recipe out and let us know how you like it. Please click the subscribe button, let us know how you like this recipe in the comments, and we'll catch you next time.